Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me and giving me some of your time. Today, I'm super, super, super excited to be chatting with the fabulous Pam Stallebrass. She is a fantastic fiber artist, and yes, I'm just very, very excited to be sharing her story with all of you. So, if you're interested in anything to do with textiles, grab a cup of tea or coffee and sit down because this show is going to have a whole lot of information that you're going to be interested in. So, Pam, please would you tell us, where did your journey with textiles begin?
I did fine arts at Pietermaritzburg University, and then taught a bit, traveled. Traveling has always informed what I do. I went overseas, lived in England for a year and traveled around. And then when I came back, I did my teacher's diploma in art at the Durban Tech. That was a lovely year. And then got married. And then we built a yacht. We built a catamaran in Durban, and we sailed for about 18 months, 2 years, across the Atlantic, St. Helena, Rio, around. And my husband, Joe, he got a job in Peru. And so we lived in Peru for 2 years.
Mm.
And my daughter, Linda, was born there.
Okay.
So she's a little Peruvian, yeah. And then when children were starting preschool, I thought, oh, I can't draw anymore. So I enrolled with UNISA and I did their graphics course. And it sort of turned everything around because at the end of the year, they said, experiment with one graphic process. And I chose screen printing.
Mm.
I just loved it. I just couldn't get enough of it. There wasn't much published at that time.
Mm.
I went to all the universities and the techs, and I went to any screen printer and asked questions. And so then I was printing on paper.
Mm.
And I work in the attic, and I was getting asthma because of all the fumes. So I thought, okay, I'm going to print on cloth because it's not smelly.
Mm.
I know you can get acrylic print inks now.
Mm.
But at that stage you couldn't, and it was just awful. Started printing on paper, and it was early days for publishing, and Sue Millard was writing books at that stage on candle wicking and all sorts of lovely things. And I went along to one of her photo shoots, and somehow they asked me if I wanted to do a book on screen printing.
Okay.
So I never say no. I said yes. So I sort of learned on the hoof and developed the whole thing for printing from home. And Delos eventually didn't publish it, but Strake did.
Okay.
And that's how Angie knows me.
Yes. Yes. She speaks very highly of that book, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So you might have been feeling like you were working on the hoof, but people who've used the book say that it's an absolute kind of Bible of screen printing reference. So
it's just because it was one of the first ones. Okay. You know, now they're doing amazing things. And my favorite way of printing is still the first chapter of that book, which is printing with paper stencils. Cut out fine paper stencils and just out of computer paper. And you put your screen directly on top of it with a fabric underneath and print. And this behind me here, that is just a paper stencil, hexagons, and then hand colored in. It's just so it's so easy. And
I can't believe you're saying just, because that quilt is something else. It's absolutely out of this world. You're clearly a master of your craft.
You know, it's my lockdown quilt. It's from, we had to fill in our pool with a drought. So I wanted a water-wise garden. So got my cotyledons, the clover that grows in the grass, the beautiful crocosmia.
Mm.
Can you see crocosmia? No.
I can see the crocosmia. They're gorgeous.
So every day I go out in the garden and say, oh, but I haven't done the berries yet. Oh, but I haven't done this. And the jasmines are coming out now. So my garden has become my inspiration. So after that book, I got more and more into fabric printing. And in 82, 3 of us started the Somerset West Craft Market.
Okay.
1982. I was going to say it's still going, but actually everything's closed down. But I'm really proud of that because it supplied a lot of people with an outlet for an income as well, but an outlet for their crafts. It makes such a difference if you've got somewhere to sell what you make.
Absolutely.
You know, right now I don't. And I've had to find motivation from another place, you know. So, yeah. So then, at the craft market, I went through all sorts of phases. Beads, dolls, porcelain dolls. I used to do portraits of kids. And yeah, slowly my screen printing sort of got bigger and bigger. And I got, so much depends on breaks. I went to Berg River Textiles because I wasn't happy with the feel of my cloth. Patchworkers like a fine cloth. They like to be able to put a needle through it. And it's just a little bit sticky, a little bit thick. And at Berg River Textiles, there was this wonderful man who steamed cloth for me. So I would buy a great bucket of reactive black and navy and then go to immaterial printers. Fabulous. And they've got a rotary which only does one color. It's a really old machine. And so my repeat is 64 centimeters. So I'd mark that out on my first piece of the roll, put down all my pieces of paper. It's a lot of pieces of paper. And then we'd put the ink in and roll, and it sticks even to the circuit, And I'd get sometimes up to 60 meters before the ink started going through the paper.
Okay.
Then I take it back to Berg River Textiles and they steamed it for me.
Okay.
Extra steam. So it goes up over 100 degrees centigrade. And then I had beautiful cloth, which I then overdyed with Procyon dyes. And I could take it overseas. And I started doing quilt shows in England, Quilts UK in Malvern, and then Festival of Quilts, Birmingham. So every year I'd go over, because my daughter lives in England.
Okay.
I'd go over, make some pounds, which was really important with our exchange rate.
Yes, yes.
And go and see we'd have a little holiday afterwards. So that was just because Edward Rooks steamed my reactive dyes at Berg River Textiles. That was a big breakthrough. I mean, those fabrics are soft and beautiful. They won't do it anymore, by the way.
They won't do it anymore.
So, yeah, with my contacts in England, I met such lovely people. And a friend, Carolyn Crabtree, she's done books on world embroidery and stuff like that. And we did it together called, it was Beadwork, A World Guide with Thames Hudson. And they gave us 1 year to do it. And I love research. And I spent hours in libraries and museums and getting photographs from America. She did India and Europe and England. And that was a fabulous year, and it's a beautiful book.
Mm.
And it came out in Japanese.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and German and French. Yeah, yeah. So that's a lovely book. But all the time I've kept going with the fabrics, partly because of the craft market, because I had an outlet. By this stage, I was doing T-shirts, lots of T-shirts. And in a way, I'm sorry that I did spend so long on the T-shirts. I should have moved on before.
Why do you say that?
Well, it became a bit samely. But what it was it was my canvas. I love designing. And I employed people, and we had a little factory space, and but the designing is what I love. And so it would be a place where I could put my new designs. Yeah.
And do you think employing people is also part of what kind of locked you into that space for longer than you would have liked to stay?
Yeah, probably. Yes.
Because you feel a responsibility to people who you're paying salary.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
And I had a stall at the waterfront in the old scruffy blue shed. It's beautiful now. They call it watershed or something, but it's changed. Beautiful. So I was employing people there too, producing masses of T-shirts. So then the work was taking stuff to it was all locally sourced, by the way. Puma made the most beautiful cotton. And after they closed down, well, as they closed down, I bought about 3,000 meters of fabric. And that lasted me for quite a long time. And I cut out all my own T-shirts. They were made in Gordon's Bay. Remo at Immaterial also printed fabric for me, and we bought a carousel, which I still use. So yes, it became big, and it wasn't about designing, it was about, I'm not a good businesswoman.
It sounds like you've done pretty okay for someone who's not a good businesswoman.
Yeah. So eventually, my husband got transferred to Lesotho, and from then I started winding down. It took me ages to wind down. And you can see this nice quilt behind me, but you should see my workroom. It's just piled high with stuff. And I've already put loads away. So yeah. So that's more or less my well, I keep on printing because I love this. I love doing stuff like this.
Okay.
But in 2018, my husband was retired, and I said, we've got to do one more big thing, something exciting. I said, let's go to America.
Okay.
So we shipped our buggy over. It's a Toyota Hilux, and we had a camper built onto the back.
Okay.
So you can go in a door, lift up the roof, and you've got a bed and a tiny little kitchen. And so we traveled from Charleston across the south of the USA, and I was dying to get to Mexico. I only travel for fabrics and for crafts.
Okay.
And I was longing to get to Mexico, and I love Mexico. So for a year, we traveled Mexico, Guatemala. I loved Guatemala. At this place called Lake Atitlan, where you have to travel by boat because there's no road around the top end of the lake. And you travel in the water taxis with these women who are wearing hand-woven skirts and beautiful embroidered shirts. And you could get really close to them because they were sitting just in front of you.
Did you reach out and touch them?
Oh, no, but I took photos. And then down to Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru, where we lived for 2 years before. I just love Peru.
Okay.
It's just this is my Peruvian. This is a jersey that I knitted with Peruvian designs that I
Yes.
took photographs of all the textiles, and these are all natural dyes.
Mm.
Can I talk quickly about natural dyes?
Please do. Please do. Please do.
We were camping in Nazca
Mm.
and drove onto this farm, and they had fields of cacti, the nopal cactus, the ones that look like a tennis racket,
Mm.
and cochineal, which is the red pink dye.
Mm.
It leaves like little powdery. You can see little white powder on the leaves. And I said to Joe, that's cochineal. And it was a cochineal farm.
Okay.
And so I trekked off with the little guy from the campsite. And I said, I want to buy some cochineal.
Mm.
And we went to this house, knocked on the door, nobody there. Walked across another field, dry field. And then somebody came by in a bakkie.
Mm.
And he said she wants to buy some cochineal.
Mm.
And he went off and he came back. I said, I want a kilo of cochineal.
Mm.
You know, it's these little bugs
Mm.
that live on the nopal cactus. So I got a kilo of cochineal. Oh, you want to see the color? It's just amazing. And it goes anything from,
Oh, yum.
and then you can modify it afterwards with iron and it goes purple. And I overdye it with something out the garden. It's Korea boom. It's a yellow, yellow, yellow dye. It's amazing. It's called Cercia lancia. It's got long, thin leaves, and dump them in water, cut them up, boil them, and then you dump your wool in, which has previously been allumed, and you get this bright yellow. It's amazing. But cochineal, I've got alum, and I buy indigo. Indigo. So those three colors mixed, I have an amazing array of colors.
Yes.
I mean, look at all these colors.
It's incredible.
They're just amazing. Yeah. So, something I need people to know is Stucken Yarns in Uitenhage sells wool ready for dyeing.
Okay.
And I just discovered them by mistake. I asked some people where I could buy yarn for dyeing. But the South African mohair spinners. Yes. I now buy kilos of wool from them. Okay. And so I'm really, really, really into knitting at the moment.
You want to do all the things with all the fibers before you die.
Yeah. I know. When you get to my life, you're sort of counting the years and saying, how much longer can I do all this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another color that I've got, my friend Jenny Heath, who went to India in about 2017, she came back with some little plastic bags full of interesting things. Yes. I only discovered I'm doing an online natural dyeing course. Okay. The Wild Diary, not diary like in days, but in dyeing. Yes. And anyway, I'm sort of doing a lot of natural dyeing. So I got this box out of stuff that Ginny had sent me. And there was a bag called alizarin. And alizarin is, it's taken out of madder. And I don't know if you can see it, but these colors, I mean, I put a little bit in, but I eventually got oranges.
Wow.
Oh, just gorgeous.
Oh, I could eat those.
Orange. So now I've got orange as well. My cochineal with Korea boom wasn't a bright orange. Okay. Bright.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my other one. So, yeah.
I love it. What a beautiful story. And so much
Oh,
passion for what you do. Is there
and so,
anything left that you haven't tried that you still want to?
yeah. When I was young, I thought, when I get old, I'll do lace making. But you
Okay.
don't, your younger eyes aren't going to be so good.
Yes, yes. So do you wish you'd
Yeah.
started that one sooner?
No, it takes too long.
Okay.
No, no. I'm happy with my colors.
Yes.
Yeah. So printing and my screen printing, sure. And yeah, on my list, always at the top of my list is tidy my workroom.
Okay. Okay. But you never get to it.
Yes, I do. I
Okay.
do. I
Okay.
throw away bundles and bundles of stuff,
Okay.
and it's still just awful.
Okay.
Oh, can we talk about lockdown?
Please, please.
Well, it's expanded my world.
Okay.
You know, this course that I'm doing, she's in England, so her courses are really expensive, and she was offering them at a third of their price.
Okay.
So I've got this fabulous course,
Mm.
which is dyeing, eco dyeing, bundle dyeing,
Yes.
and natural printing.
Okay.
So I've had so much fun. She says use silk, and I went to the bridal shop and bought 1 meter of silk at an enormous price.
Yes.
And then I thought, oh, no, this is too much. So
Mm.
I had a big bag of Corriedale tops.
Mm.
So I made my own felt.
Okay.
So yeah. So I bundle dyed that, and show you. And I'm making a jacket.
Oh my goodness, that's fabulous. Sure,
And
that's
then
exquisite.
this is printing with my madder. That's all natural.
Oh, that's
And
beautiful.
so that's the inside of the jacket. And this here is gum leaves. They dye
That's
orange.
amazing. That's amazing. That
And
is
there's
so
this thing
beautiful.
called, this there is logwood. And
Mm.
you put your cloth out,
Mm.
put your leaves on top, and then you dip another piece of fabric into logwood, put it on top, bundle it up and steam it.
Mm.
And the leaf acts as a resist.
Oh, that's magnificent.
That has been really fun.
Okay. Okay.
So that opened a door for me. I mean, yesterday I did yoga with Abby from Pune in India.
Okay.
There were 280 of us doing it with a
All
Zoom
around the
class
world.
from 28 different countries.
Oh, that's magical.
I know. And I would never have the opportunity to take a class with her.
Mm.
I'm so bad anyway because I'm so old. But, that was amazing.
Mm.
And yeah, people, and I like knitting. There's our name Carlos. They do a knitting vlog,
Mm.
whatever. It comes over as a picture.
Mm.
And they do tutorials, and they send quarantine messages to everybody. And
Mm.
it's I think it should be viewed as an opportunity.
Mm.
Everything's changed,
Mm.
and grab what's good,
Mm.
because there are all sorts of opportunities.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. I find it so amazing that during a time of lockdown, which is theoretically limiting, you have done the opposite, which is expand.
Yeah. But in a way, lockdown is a bit like retiring.
Okay.
The retiring phase was harder for me. I had to get back to why I created.
Mm.
Because when you're making for markets and selling, and comes reason,
Mm.
So it took me a while after we got back from the Americas to settle down to become totally passionate again.
Mm.
I just, and I'm there, I wake up in the morning and I think, oh, what next shall I put on that jersey? You know, and
Yes.
I go to bed thinking, oh, in the morning I'm going to unbundle my dyes. You know, it's.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
that. I love that. That's so beautiful. Thank you. Now, while I've got you here, a lot of people ask me the question or want to have the conversation about natural dyes versus man-made dyes. What are your thoughts on that conversation?
I've got nothing against chemical dyes. I use Procyon X and they are fantastic.
Mm.
I can get the colors I want. I really don't have much waste.
Mm.
Natural dyes, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Because a lot of people feel that a natural dye stuff is more environmentally friendly. So what's
Not
your
really.
take on that?
I can't. I would not really like to see it becoming a commercial proposition.
Mm.
I think it's perfect for home use.
Mm.
It's you know, when we were allowed to walk outside, we'd go and I'd gather leaves from the trees in the roads. And, you know, that became amazing.
Mm.
And they steamed. So there is nothing to throw away at the end.
Mm.
But then if you start adding copper sulfate and iron and all of those things, look, it's not the perfect solution. It's not environmentally perfect.
Mm.
It is very satisfying using something right out of your environment, especially picking my career boom outside the back garden.
Mm.
And I probably use less water than I do for Procyons.
Mm.
You know how hard they are to wash out.
Mm.
Oh my goodness, wash and wash, wash.
Mm.
With the natural dyes, there's not much to wash out.
Mm.
But I'll say for Procyon dyes, I don't worry about them fading.
Yes.
Whereas I don't think I'd sell a natural dyed article.
Mm.
I would worry about it fading. I know you can do fade tests and stuff. But sure, it's not perfect, but I don't think Procyon MX dyes are awful.
Mm. 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 I
What do we
feel
use?
I feel
Yeah,
much the same about it. I think that people, I understand the need for people to look for a more environmentally friendly solution. But if you're using natural dye stuffs, anything that you use in volume
exactly.
is going to have a footprint.
Yes.
So it's not so much about what we're using as how much of it we use and why.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing about lockdown is Festival of Quilts, the place where I used to sell my fabrics.
Mm.
They have gone online. They're called Beyond Festival of Quilts. And
Okay.
India is the sort of originator of this eco printing.
Mm.
And if you go to Beyond Festival of Quilts and you go to lectures, she has got it's all free.
Mm.
She's got the most beautiful, it's called a lecture, but it's a little movie on
Okay.
how she dyes her cloth.
Mm.
But it's about how she uses her environment, how she throws the fabric into her little pool that started accumulating after the rains, and she drags it through the mud and she leaves it under the tree. And
I love that.
I love that. I love the being local,
Mm.
recycling,
Mm.
using clothes, repurposing clothes.
Mm. Mm.
All of that has come from the natural dyeing and my dyeing course and YouTube's on natural dyeing.
Mm.
So being aware of place and using your environment. It's crazy the way people used to travel around. Even me. I mean, I used to as well think nothing of traveling to the other side of the world and ordering dyes from around the world. I still do. But it's crazy. It's crazy,
Yes.
all that waste. Yeah. So yes, it's nice to be aware of where you live and be inspired by it and try to use what you've got in your environment.
I love that. I love that. Gosh,
Yeah.
I've enjoyed talking to you so much today. I think we must organize another one of these. So, what's your favorite part of working with textiles?
The designing.
Okay.
In my 60s, I did a course, a year course in Photoshop. So I can start off these drawings with a drawing, just a pencil drawing, and then I can take it to Photoshop and I can play with it on Photoshop. I can spend hours doing that. And then, yeah, it's the designing that I love. Oh, no, there's all sorts I love. When I'm my eco dyes, what is thrill?
And what is your secret to reinventing yourself again and again like this?
I try to remember, ever since I was a little kid, I've made things. Do you remember little Pee-wee dolls? Oh no, you're too young. But they're tiny. They're smaller than my little finger. And I used to knit them full outfits and with these tiny little needles. And, you know, I've always made things for the joy of making. So I try to remember why and how I used to make things when I was a kid.
Yes.
And try to remember just the joy of making. And enjoy making. I'm a bit obsessive. I can't. Yeah, but that's come back, and the total joy of making things.
Yes.
I just it's not only the designing. It's, you know, when I've designed one of these triangles and cut it out and printed it. That's a joy. I see it in black and white on a piece of cloth. And then I paint it. I go back to the garden and I pick it and I paint them carefully. And then you join them up and they make another design. Like this one here, the cotyledons, they're flowering at the moment. It's made a different shape with being repeated. That's a joy too. So yeah, it's all happiness.
I want to see that quilt when it's finished. It is so magnificent.
Oh, well, I can easily put my designs on my website.
Yes, yes.
What I hoped when I stopped making things to sell was that I could share what I know with other people. I started a website, but it's difficult for people to go to your website.
Yes, yes.
People through my website. I don't want any money for it. I just want it, you know.
So on that note, where can people find it?
Oh, I think it's pamstallebrass.wordpress.com.
Okay.
pamstallebrass.wordpress.com.
Okay, and for people who are watching, I will share the link in the description of this video. So if you want to look for it there, I'll have the correct spelling and everything in the description. So Pam, it was an absolute privilege to speak to you today. Thank you so much for sharing your time and just your enthusiasm for fiber and all the things that you do with us. Do you have any parting comments for
Just thank you for
crafters?
making it easier.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Very gentle interviewer. Yeah.
Well, that's my hope. I'm here to let you shine because I believe you've got an incredible light, and I don't need to add anything to it to make it happen. So thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Melanie.